details his experience with what he calls jadoo, or or black magic.
And our mission here is to take this raw, intensely personal story
Yep.
and just unpack it. We need to look at the psychological conditions, the cultural elements, and the really terrifying physical effects of the fear he describes.
Okay, let's unpack this. So the context, it really all begins with isolation.
Mhm.
Our narrator, he's from Pakistan, and he works for a security company.
And they basically forced him to take this job.
Yeah, it was a mandated post in
Yeah.
this severely remote, really small area. He estimates maybe 5,000 local residents.
That's tiny.
It is. And he just missed the city. He missed having a social life. This was an assignment that led to this just crushing loneliness.
That intense isolation is really the starting gun for this whole thing.
Yeah.
He was facing huge cultural barriers, linguistic barriers.
Right, he's not an Arabic speaker, and the locals were.
So socializing was, basically impossible for him. He was just cut off,
Yeah.
trapped.
And when you're stuck like that, your mind just, it needs something to do. It needs something to engage with.
It absolutely did.
He said he was at the end of his rope, just sitting alone, scrolling on his phone. He was going stir crazy.
And that psychological vacuum is so potent. The mind has to fill it with something.
Yeah.
And since there weren't, community centers or hobbies to pick up.
He turned online and inward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He developed this really deep, you could almost say obsessive, interest in the supernatural, in supernatural entities and the other world.
He started listening to horror content, paranormal shows, just immersing himself in it every single night while he was making dinner.
So he didn't just stumble into this. He was actively inviting these ideas into his mental space for months before anything actually happened.
He was prouding himself.
Precisely. Creating a lens to see the world through. He wasn't a skeptic looking for proof. He was already a believer, just waiting.
So after about 3 months of this, something good finally happens.
A little bit of a reprieve.
Yeah. He noticed the cost of living was really low, rent was cheap, and he actually convinced his company to let his wife join him.
And this is a really crucial point. For 6 months, things seemed to pause. They found stability, they were happy, he had companionship again.
So you have to ask, why didn't those 6 months of, grounding positive reality, why didn't that undo the groundwork he'd already laid?
I think the interest was just too rooted at that point. It wasn't going to just vanish.
And during this time, this sort of domestic bliss, he was still observing his surroundings.
This strange local ecosystem.
Right. He saw that the area didn't have normal schools or colleges, but there were these teaching centers. They were set up inside private homes dedicated to a specific religion or sect.
And this is where that quiet undercurrent of magic starts to become really apparent. He saw that the practitioners in these houses, they were dedicated to Emliat, which are spiritual or magical practices.
Everyone never left their homes.
Never. But they were known to dispense tawiz, amulets, which suggests their influence, their magic, extended well beyond their four walls.
So it was just a town where magic was kind of accepted, part of the background noise.
Exactly. So the stage is perfectly set. You have this quiet town, a bit of domestic stability, but this persistent, accepted presence of these esoteric practices.
All seen through the eyes of a man who is already obsessed with the other world.
And then they break their routine.
6 months in, about a week before he made this recording, he and his wife decided to go for a walk.
Down by the sea, it was dusk in the winter.
So it's dark, it's cold, it's quiet.
And that's when they see it, this unsettling tableau.
5 or 6 figures. He describes them as tall, thin, and just, completely wrapped in white sheets.
And they're sitting motionless on these large boulders by the shore.
Just staring intently at something hidden between the rocks.
The silence, the concentration, it screams ritual. These figures, they were part of that background magic he'd only seen from a distance, but now they were active, they were tangible.
So curiosity gets the better of them, and they start to approach.
And the reaction from the figures is immediate.
Instant. They get up and just walk away, vanish into the dusk.
They clearly did not want to be interrupted.
So of course the couple goes to see what they were looking at.
And what they find is, well, it's the core piece of data in this entire story.
Resting on the sand, right there between the boulders, was a pot. A brass or golden-colored pot, a calash.
But it's not just the pot. It's the contents that show you how complex this magic was.
Yeah, let's go through it.
Okay, so inside, they find an akshamala. Those are Hindu prayer beads.
And a Shanka conch shell, which is also used in Hindu ceremonies.
Right. But these items, which are often symbols of purity, of prayer, they were combined with ashes, or bones.
Wrapped in Sindor, that's vermilion powder.
And then, to confirm the intent.
2 photographs, one of a man, one of a child.
And their eyes were just savagely blacked out with a marker.
And crucially, he notes that the ashes and bones themselves, they were marked.
Marked with Arabic words and symbols that he didn't understand.
So this complicates everything, doesn't it? This isn't just one thing.
Not at all. This ritual, using a kalash, Hindu objects, and Arabic markings, it suggests a powerful syncretic form of black magic. It was maybe meant to be extra potent, or maybe even targeted at someone with a South Asian background, like our narrator, who's now in an Arab country.
The sorcerers were pulling from multiple toolkits to get the maximum effect.
Exactly.
And the narrator says they knew instantly this was Jadoo, black magic.
But they tried to laugh it off at first. You know, humor is a defense mechanism.
That rationalization lasted all of 3 seconds.
Because then he makes the mistake. The defining, fatal mistake of the story.
Instead of just walking away, he deliberately kicks the pot over.
Hoping the tide would just wash it all away, neutralize it.
Yeah.
He says he regrets that action so profoundly.
And the response was not subtle, it was immediate.
And utterly terrifying.
Within seconds of him kicking that pot, this loud, sharp, high-pitched Zagruda comes from a distance.
And we have to really focus on what that sound is.
Right.
A zagruda is a trilling cry. It's traditionally made by Arab women as a sound of intense joy, celebration. At a wedding, party.
So to hear that sound, that joyful, celebratory sound in the dark on a desolate beach?
Right after you've disturbed a malicious ritual.
It's a horrific twist, the joy of whatever that was. That was their victory cry.
The joke was violently over. His wife grabs his arm, she's terrified. And the sound just keeps going, constant.
As they're fleeing, they look back.
Let's see them.
The 5 or 6 figures in white are already back on the rocks.
Looking at the scattered remains of the pot.
And then they get up, and they start following the couple.
They just keep pace with them, all the way until they get to their street.
And that's the moment the narrator realized they hadn't come home alone.
His theory is that the figures were a family of jinns. And by physically touching the cursed objects, he gave them the exact invitation they needed.
The entry point into his home.
And the escalation started that very night.
The next 3 nights, it's like a tactical assault on their sanity.
Night 1 was just a pure auditory attack. Constant, incredibly loud, scary sounds of animals fighting right outside their door.
Dogs, cats, he even said he heard snakes hissing. It was designed to just break them down with noise and fear.
Night 2, silence.
Which is almost worse, isn't it? The sudden stop, it makes you wait for whatever's coming next.
The inevitable and worse climax.
And that payoff arrived on night 3. He goes back into the bedroom. His wife is in bed. She's feverish.
And she says someone's in the room with them. She points to the corner.
So he looks, and he sees his wife sitting in the corner, staring right at him.
That moment of perfect cognitive dissonance, seeing your sanctuary, your partner, duplicated and used against you. I mean, that is the absolute peak of psychological terror.
And it caused a total physical breakdown in him.
Classic involuntary responses to paralyzing fear.
He couldn't scream, lost his voice completely. His mouth went totally dry.
He was frozen, not just mentally, but physically paralyzed by what he was seeing.
He knew he was looking at 2 versions of his wife.
Because he was paralyzed, he just stood there in a corner of the room the entire night, watching them. Watch him.
It's just an agonizing description of being held captive by fear inside your own home.
Now, if we're going to challenge this for a second, you could ask if, maybe the months of obsession, the trauma of the beach, could it have triggered some kind of psychotic break?
But the story pushes us right back to the supernatural, especially with what happens next.
Right. The standoff only breaks with the morning prayer.
At the call of the azan, the wife in the corner just slowly gets up, opens the door, and walks out.
He realized the one in the bed, the one with the fever, that was his real wife. The entity couldn't stand the sound of the call to prayer.
So then the priority just becomes escape.
Of course.
He spends the next day desperately calling his company, making up excuses.
Any excuse that wasn't supernatural, right? Bad drainage, structural problems.
Anything to get a transfer without sounding like he was insane.
Which is the secondary trap, isn't it? The truth is so unbelievable that you can't even ask for legitimate help.
And the entity, it got tactical. The last incident he talks about happened the next Sunday. He's inside, and he hears his wife's voice.
Clear as day.
Yeah, calling him from upstairs from the staircase. So he starts to go, thinking she needs him.
But his real wife rushes out from behind him, grabs his arm, and shouts at him not to go.
She heard it too. She heard her own voice calling him upstairs.
They both confirmed the auditory illusion at the same time.
Which is terrifying proof that this thing was actively using their bond, their trust, to lure him into a trap.
It confirmed the voice was real, but the person speaking was not.
So the narrator concludes that their lives are in direct danger. He's trying to move out immediately, even if it means risking his job.
And the final image he leaves us with as he's recording this message, it's
awful. He says his wife is standing behind the curtain just watching him and smiling.
And he says he does not know if that's his real wife or not.
The invasion is complete. The sanctuary of his relationship, of his home, is just, it's gone.
So this chronological journey it's all mapped out. From boredom to obsession to passive observation, and finally to this physical invasion.
And the narrator's final message, it's just a warning born of pure terror. He says, don't meddle into these things.
This raises an important question. He was safe for months, wasn't he? When he was just listening to stories, just indulging his curiosity online.
He only became prey when he physically crossed that line, when he kicked over